going to be talking about a Katana mind, and what is a Katana mind. So Katana mind is really, I'm kind of into my samurai. Well, I've always been in my samurai stories. I was brought up on samurai stories and books and movies, and the I just started reading Miyamoto Musashi's The Five Rings, which is he was a famous swordsman, samurai, who then became a ronin as I think he fled his emperor and kind of started the way of walking alone. So ronin, masterless way, the masterless samurai. And so you know that they have these beautiful swords that are forged thousands of times until they become so sharp they can cut through anything. They're almost indestructible. And I love that analogy when it comes to the mind or the ego, is because our minds are conditioned and folded upon themselves again and again until they become fixed and almost indestructible. The ego, our identity of who we are. And that works for a certain point to keep us safe, enable us to navigate through life. But you'll get to a point, and you'll probably, if you're turning off this video now, it's probably because you don't want to hear any more of this, because your ego doesn't want to know about it, your mind. But you get to a point where there's this like, shit, isn't there more to life? Or just things are not working out anymore, like an existential threat. And so I had that when I was about 28. I was just like, what is going on with life? I've got everything external. I had a great job at Chelsea Football Club. I was paid really well. I had the girlfriend, the house, and everything. I just wasn't happy, and so I started the way of the walking alone, of going inside, and the path least traveled, or entering the desert, so to speak. And so what I've come to understand is when I have a client who's pretty well known, let's say, or very well known in his field. I was working with a world class, I won't say, in a particular sport the other day, and they have their identity is very fixed about themselves, so they like to be in control. And so I was like, well, what happens when you're not? And they're like, I'm never not in control. And I'm like, well, why are you coming to speak to me? And they're like, well, I can't sleep. I said, so you can't control your sleep. And so when you think you control everything, you're going to attract things. Either you physically to have a disease that you can't control, you lose your hair, or you can't sleep, or there's going to be something. That's just how the universe works. There's a polarity. You pull in what you don't want to resolve it. We're here to resolve. So I like to think of those type of clients as being really, really strong swords, really sharp, powerful swords. But it's almost like they turn back on themselves, and it starts to cut them to pieces. It starts to destroy them. Their katana is too strong. So what I do is, and this is where I'm kind of talking about, my thoughts internally and getting them onto this vlog, is I unfold this katana and unfold the conditioning and the programs and the limiting beliefs until you get complete freedom. And so there's complete wholeness again. So there is no katana, but in a way there is. You have this blade, this sword, which is nothingness, neutral, a neutral sword, and it can cut through everything. It cuts through the illusion, and you can, when this sword is unforged, you can start to use it to, maybe this analogy doesn't work so well. It's almost like you can start to observe others' behaviors and your own, and through that observation, that becomes your katana, and you dissolve everything and anything so that you're completely free, and you're at peace, and you're completely present in every moment. There's no mind. So the mind is like a katana, like I said, it can be used, but it gets to the point in life where it turns back upon ourselves and hurts us. And so in using no mind, no katana, the no mind katana, we can slice through the ego and free ourselves. So I was talking with a student this morning about this, and they were mentioning their life situation which they're in, where they're going back somewhere to be with the family, and they're worried because the family are very unconscious and they project out, and they're not supportive, and they're highly judgmental and critical. And so I said to him, I said, wow, what a wonderful opportunity, because this student is like a Ronin. He's walking alone. He's turned inwards to be alone, and to become a real warrior, and to dissolve his mind, which is this is the only combat in life. Mixed martial arts or martial arts, it's not about the opponent in front of you. It's about yourself. It's your mind is your opponent. And so he's doing the hard work. And I said to him, like, when you go there, it's like you're going to an extremely reputable dojo, and you're going to it's almost like going to a wrestling camp in Kazakhstan, somewhere that's kind of scary, but you know that you're going to learn, and your skills are going to become so honed. So I said, you're going there, you have your katana, you're going to your observation, and your he has studied energetics with me, which is this way of being able to quickly find something that's weakening, your body or your mind, and to be able to resolve it, like connecting with your own internal operating system. But the most powerful blade that he has is his ability to consciously observe his behavior. And Musashi talked about that in his 5 rings, that being absolutely clear of emotions and being absolutely present and conscious in battle is the most important ability, and stay absolutely emotionless and be completely neutral. So he's going to go and see his family, and they'll maybe say something like, oh, you're doing nothing with your life or whatever, and he will be able to observe his own behavior, how he reacts, and in observing it, it cuts it down and dissolves it, like a lightsaber through Obi-Wan Kenobi, just dissolves it instantly, and then he's free of it. And so it doesn't mean he's going to hang out with his family for the rest of his life, because they're just projecting their own shit onto everyone else, because they're not going inwards and taking responsibility, and they're not free, they're not happy, and so they're pointing fingers, and that's kind of toxic energy. It's just there's no energy there. And so that's why a lot of Ronin, they walk alone, they go wandering now. And so I like to think of, I've done that journey. I've been doing that for 25 years now, and that's going to enable me my wife's a badass Ronin. She does a lot of self work, not self-development, it's self-unfolding work. And my 2 children will be their own authority, which is the most wonderful gift I can give to my children, is to unfold myself and not to project my own weaknesses on them. I'm not perfect, but I work very hard at that, using my sword on myself, on my ego. And so he's seeing that as a completely different light. He's going to see his parents is like proper dojo work, and this internal dojo is where you change your external dojo. You go inside and you work on how you perceive things, how your emotions, look for your behaviors and limiting beliefs and the conditioning that we've been conditioned by society, schooling, our families, our ancestors, etc. And just a quick tip: if you want to, lower that conditioning, turn off the TV and newspapers because that is conditioning us on purpose to control us. I'm not saying that in a conspiracy way. It's they think they're doing it for the good of humanity and society. But whenever you do anything from your mind and you try and control, you always create the opposite. So it's just a good way. Don't put anything that's not real food in your body, and don't put shit information in your mind, misinformation, disinformation, and connect with nature every day, which is what I'm doing. I'm connecting in my connecting into the forest here. So those are just some. That was my thoughts on the Katana mind, or the unfolding, unforging of our egos. And I'll be bringing more stuff out on here on YouTube about this kind of slightly kind of rebranding of my work around Ronin and the way of the way of walking alone, or this aloneness, which is the way to freedom. All right, thanks so much. Any questions, or if you have any comments, love to hear them. And if you liked the video, thought it was useful, I'd love a thumbs up. It's just nice for me to know there's someone out there. And subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing loads more of this. All right, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your Monday.